Well, we're finishing the day with the same sort of weather that has haunted this test at certain times, but not enough to stop it from being an absolutely brilliant test match. It ended up in a thrilling draw. The afternoon session, were you nervous at any time about Australia?
Yeah, what a test match. With the time that we had, with the rain, the weather, to get through and almost have a result. I mean, it was a draw overall. I think it probably deserved a draw in the end. I think both teams showed like some good fight from Jofra Archer. It was good to see him in his first test and do what he did. The only concern I have with him is they seem to rely quite heavily on him, whether it's the pitch conditions or if it's just the bowling attack in general. But it was really nice to see him on his debut play the way he did. Stokes played well. He came out and scored 100. The Australians probably didn't start as well as they would have liked to this morning, but they stuck with it. They had a crack. They would have been a little bit nervous sort of coming in later in the day when England were really coming hard. But I think there was a couple of really good performances by Australia. Marnus Labuschagne was outstanding. Yeah. To come in the situation that he was in, that was put in front of him. You never feel like you're part of the team fully when you're on the outside or in the squad, and to actually then have to come out there and it's a strange one. And the way that he went out there and just focused and thought, you know what, I'm just going to have a crack.
And second ball as well.
Second ball.
Pops one in the face.
I mean, he's a tough character, and that's what I love about him. I think he's got that grit about him that the Australian cricket team need as a batting order, and that's given him an opportunity for next test match, I believe. Travis Head then finished it off, and I thought he held his nerve quite well. He started a bit scratchy. The first over to Leach, I think he tried to sweep two balls that were probably not there to sweep, and once he got past those nerves and just said, you know what, I've just got to watch each ball here and get through. So he was really good as well.
I mean, you talk about Marnus Labuschagne. The reason he was there, of course, is that Steve Smith underwent more concussion tests this morning and is ruled out, unlikely to be back for Headingley, we think, at this stage. That's sort of stirred up or brought up a bit of a hornet's nest, I suppose, this whole new concussion sub-rule and how it's judged. How did you see that today? On reflection, should he have come out and bat yesterday?
You have to leave that to the doctors, the medical staff. They make that decision and they're professional. So the integrity of those guys are in question. They're the ones that have to uphold the decision in the end, and they make the tough ones. So I guess it's a question around all that. Should they have an independent doctor that comes in? But they're not going to, like I said, they're not going to go out there and go, well, we need Steve Smith to play. He's a bit fuzzy, but we're in a position that we need him, so it's not going to happen. So I think I believe they made the right decision. They were doing their checks that they needed to do. They were letting us know as much as they could.
Yes,
they don't have to tell us every little detail, but they were letting us know a few details on how he was going. And he had to turn up this morning, and they said he felt a bit sort of foggy and did the next test and didn't pass it. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes from here, because I think there's over here there's a 7 to 10 day rule, and then Australia there was a 5 day rule, which I'm hearing. But
well, they have three different ones. The ECB have a system for testing. Cricket Australia have one, okay. And then the ICC have other guidelines as well. So it seems to be a bit of a grey sort of area, I suppose. So we'll just you have to see how it's monitored. Yeah. But one thing I wanted to pick up too, because we were talking about this earlier, Jofra Archer, it wasn't just Marnus Labuschagne who copped one, it wasn't just Steve Smith, Matt Wade copped one on the head as well. What is it that makes his bouncers, besides the speed, so difficult for batsmen to play?
Well, I think the Wade one at the end, it got quite dark at the end, just sort of talking to a few of the boys after the match, but I think it's just because he bounces just back of a length. His short ball isn't a real short ball because he's quite tall. He's quite whippy. He's got a good wrist, and he just gets on you a lot quicker than you expect. You can't really get underneath the ball. And the one that hit Marnus, he actually played it. It was probably too quick for him in the end at the start. Like, he didn't have the pace of the pitch. His probably a bit nervous underneath, even though he got up and he was up like a fighter. But yeah, it probably just got on him a bit quick in the end. It did follow him, but then he played it really well afterwards. So he was confident. He got on the front foot. He drove. He was happy to do that, and then he started to duck and weave out of the way. So once you get the pace of him, I don't think they're having too many issues with him. So it'd be interesting to see how that sort of battle goes on, because I feel like England really do rely heavily on him by the looks of how he bowled in this Test match.
Now we go on to Headingley next. After the events of the past couple of days, which dressing room do you think will be feeling happier? Obviously Australia have a 1-0 lead. They only have to win one more test to retain the Ashes. But who do you feel will be happiest with that result? Yeah,
it's a tricky one. I looked like Joe Root was a little bit annoyed at the end of that Test match, to be honest. I think he felt he was in a very good position at the end. The Australians will be pretty happy. I think they felt like they should have been in a better position at the end of the day, and they were at the start of today. They could have rolled England early and then got out there and had an opportunity to win the game. So, I mean, Butler and it was Stokes that put on a great partnership. They batted well last night and then came out here this morning. Didn't fall before the lunch break, and they set themselves up. So they played extremely well, and yeah, I think Australia will be probably slightly more confident. I think the momentum, England will think they have that momentum. They think they have the firepower now, but it's still massive, because I think they would have been thinking, no Steve Smith in this Test match, we can roll through Australia. So I think that's where their disappointment ended in this game. That's why I think we saw Joe Root a little bit annoyed.
Well, if nothing else, it has been an absolute cracker with some amazing individual performances and team performances. And we look forward to seeing more of that in Leeds at Headingley. So make sure you stay logged on for all the build-up on ESPN Cricinfo.